Nyanawa, Kubanyan pa Karanyan Waranderi Woiwarang Miring. Nyarok Mini Nyochung Waranderi Alamin. Mini Nyochung Bundle pa Wa. Mini Nyochung Waranderi Miring. I want to acknowledge we're on the lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and pay deep respects to their elders, ancestors, ancestral creation beings, and their continued connection to country and culture. Just want to acknowledge Uncle Andrew for that welcome, Will Shakespeare's for that deadly dance earlier, and that's such deeply meaningful, impactful song there from Uncle Kutcher that was really hit the heartstrings, and important that we play that role here from a cultural perspective, and I could feel that from Uncle Kutch. Thank you. Thanks to all the traditional owners, leaders, and in particular our elders that have gathered here today. We know so many of you have advocated and worked so hard to get us where we are today. Thanks to Ruben Berg and Nagara Murray, co-chairs of the Assembly. I want to acknowledge Chris Cousins, Parliamentary Secretary for First Peoples, that's here with us today, and many other notables, including commissioners of the York Justice Commission, playing such an important role. So I stand before you as one of the 5 members of the Treaty Authority, alongside Thelma Austin and Duane White here. Unfortunately, Dr. Petter Atkinson's fallen ill. She can't get out of bed. Sends her apologies. And Uncle Andrew, who's away up in Brisbane with family, he can't make it either. So, yeah, they're deeply sorry about that. So, I just want to note the duty that we've been assigned as Treaty Authority members is such an immense honour to us. It's deeply meaningful, and we're guided by 4 values: fairness, responsibility, honour, and connection. I want to pause for a moment and reflect on some of the interpretations of our new logo here that you see before me. In the middle of the shield are the diamonds, and that represents those 4 values. And that shield design there, it represents the Treaty Authority and us helping parties find common ground. But it's also representing the treaty or treaties that represent that common ground that parties will find through this process. Now, the treaty is also a shield because it protects the relationship between us. So whether it's First Peoples and the state or between traditional owner groups, it protects our shared and overlapping interests, our relationships, and our obligations to each other. And the people are sitting around that negotiating table as representatives, and that outside layer is the communities or the traditional owner groups behind them that will be kept informed of negotiations, help guide and make those decisions on behalf of their people. So I want to acknowledge Mirinjippa Murray, who's here with us today, Yorta Yorta, Jar Jar Wurrung, Wamba Wamba, Kamilaroi woman. She's helped craft our artwork and our logo. And it represents that our work is grounded in Aboriginal law and cultural authority. And we take that very seriously. And us as members are all steadfastly determined and united in our vision for a fair treaty process. So I want to reflect on a moment about the significance of treaty making. There is a gaping wound that has not been healed in this country. It's a wound that's kept First Peoples subjugated for almost 200 years in Victoria. Foreign powers come and claimed the land, said that it belonged to no one, and took it for themselves. Western courts have denied Aboriginal sovereignty, unable to question their own sovereignty. To take a line from the late Kevin Gilbert, the thief has been the judge. What this does is place an immense moral imperative on the governments to do the right thing. We now have our most senior members of Parliament acknowledging First Peoples sovereignty has not been ceded. But sovereignty is not a scary concept. Other Western colonised countries with treaties recognise sovereignty, and they don't suffer from doing so. They benefit. And now we have a treaty process in Victoria. Now that the authority is launched, traditional owners can formally request treaty negotiations with the state. Aboriginal people are able to extend the gum tree branch to the government. And that branch is to come together with a united vision of a better future. One based on mutual respect, proper recognition, and a fair and just relationship. One that restores our dignity, but the dignity of all people in Victoria. Now, it's not just symbolic. Treaties are about proper redress. They'll provide a legal structure that positions Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Victorians as rightful stakeholders and as determined by our law. First Peoples deserve to have their rights upheld, as enshrined in the United Nations Declaration and also the Victorian Charter. And we deserve to fulfil our obligations to country. We deserve to participate fully in the political, economic and social life in this state. We deserve to prosper. And the people of Victoria deserve to have strong Aboriginal communities, to learn and appreciate First Peoples cultures, and have that opportunity to build stronger relationships that will help all Victorians prosper. So today is another chance to honour the work of our ancestors and the struggle of those ancestors to get here, that struggle for generations that have called for a just relationship, for fair terms of those relationships to be established with the state. So today we get to celebrate, acknowledge another milestone, as the Assembly has been formally declared the representative body for the purposes of statewide treaty negotiations. We've got a ceremonial exchange to come. But I just want to reiterate, as the members of the Treaty Authority, we know this deep responsibility that we carry, and our work is not just about facilitating treaty making, but it's about building a better and just and united community for all Victorians to celebrate and be proud of. So before I hand over to Uncle Andrew Gardner for some more words, I want to thank a few people that make today possible. I want to acknowledge the representatives from the state, all of you that have supported treaty over the last 8 years since the process began, and premiers and ministers, some that are with us today, and the hard-working public servants across the government. Museum Victoria for hosting us today, our wonderful MC, Kylie Belling. To all the Treaty Authority staff, I'm so very proud of the work we've been able to achieve and the group we've built over this short 6 months. Thank every one of you for your dedication. And again, all the Assembly members and traditional owners with us, being here to celebrate today, and hopefully learn a bit more about the process a little later on. So thank you all. I'll invite Uncle Andrew up to the stage.
Feel like Government House all over again. Last minute call in. But we do have some acknowledgements and a few wise statements, I guess. Current members of Parliament, Christine Cousins, mucked up early, but thanks very much for accepting that. Sheena Watts, you here somewhere? Put your hand up. Thank you very much, Dee. Good. Former members, Honourable Richard Wynne, and Honourable, over here, and I was looking at Honourable Gavin Jennings. Both have been significant fighters for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander issues in this state. So we thank you for attending. We still need your behind-the-scenes contributions about helping to nudge different ones along. Yeah. Senator Lydia Thorpe, thank you very much for coming as well. Yay! To everybody who's been acknowledged earlier, I'd still like to acknowledge two particular people, and that's the former CEO of the First Peoples Assembly, Andy Gargett. Thank you for coming. Acknowledging all that hard work, that background work of the hard-working staff behind the Assembly members. So you led that really well. Thank you very much. For the new one that's just come on, Damien Bell, hiding behind the pillar there. So still a fair bit of work to do, so in there fighting. When the Assembly first started, we had a lot of storming and gnawing, and had a lot of concentrated discussion. We call them arguments today, but it was good to actually get some of that stuff off our chest. But we first decided not to leave anybody behind. So every Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person in the state needs to be on board with where we're going. One of the things was getting the Treaty Authority done, the Treaty Negotiating Framework and the Self-Determination Fund done. Self-determining our future for our 3-4 generations into the future, what we can be seeing into the future past all that haze, what benefits we can provide for our community, our family and our country. Economic development is opportunities that we will apply ourselves to. We need to be able to contribute to the bigger economy and therefore be a part of that general acceptance in society. We don't want to be on the public purse. Really, we'd rather be able to make our own money and be a contributor to the bigger economy. So, enabling our communities to thrive, our young people, our children, our elders into the future and our young people right now. Prosperity is the name of the game, and we need a hand up to get that started. So the state government is on kind of notice that we will be negotiating statewide treaty. I'm not trying to pull anything out of anybody else's comments today, but response is that we need to have a negotiating point, and it's good to hear that the Assembly has been noted as the representative body meeting the minimum standards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. I now welcome Ruben Berg, co-chair of the First Peoples Assembly, to grace us with his presence and words.
Nyapta, Nyatuk Kunijmara, Nyatuk Japarong, Nyatuk Kirarong, Nyatuk Wurumai, Nyatuk Parabina. Linya Miring Fenyang Punat, Wanyung Rundri Miring, Tado Rundri Linya, Tado Rundri Cocoon. It's a great pleasure to be able to be here as one of the co-chairs of the First Peoples Assembly of Victoria, here in the lands of the Wurundjeri peoples for this amazing occasion today. And I echo the recognition of some of the dignitaries that we have here in the room, and particularly some of our members of parliament, both at a federal level and at a state level, also to our commissioners from Yurok. In particular, I wanted to highlight some other dignitaries I wanted to recognise. Obviously, the members of the Treaty Authority who are here, Jida, Dewey, Thelma, Uncle Andrew and Petter. This is a truly amazing day for the Treaty Authority, and kudos to the work that's got us to this place. I also wanted to acknowledge and thank the members of the Treaty Authority selection panel who did the really difficult work of deciding on who it was to be part of the Treaty Authority. I think we can all say they've done a remarkably good job to choose this group up here. Also wanted to recognise and acknowledge the members of the Assembly who are here alongside my co-chair, Nagara Murray, who will say a few words shortly. Wanted to also recognise the former members of the Assembly who are also here today. It's really important to acknowledge the work of all our members across the years. I wanted also to acknowledge Auntie Jill Gallagher. For the amazing work she did, amongst many other things, in ensuring that we actually have an Assembly to put all this in place. And also her work within the Aboriginal community controlled sector, and all the leaders and representatives here from our ACOs who are a really integral part to the work that we're doing here in Victoria and for Treaty. Also wanted to recognise and acknowledge the representatives from our traditional owner representative organisations who are doing really powerful work in progressing the rights of our traditional owner groups. It's really critical to have them part of this process as well, and a really integral part of Treaty. We get to talk often as the co-chairs about the Statewide Treaty, but the traditional owner treaties are going to be such an integral part of this process as well, and I'm really excited to see the progress of that work continuing. I wanted to acknowledge the representatives of the state who are here today, in particular the representatives of the state who are mob. And I know it's not always an easy job for those who are in those roles, who are both part of community and part of the state, so I want to recognise the work that they're doing in those roles, and it's a really critical part of progressing this work to have really strong members of our community within those leadership roles within government. I wanted to thank the representatives of our Elders Voice standing group who are here. It's a really exciting part and progression of the Assembly to have this standing group, and so it's tremendous to have representatives here from that Elders standing group with us today. Also just wanted to recognise all other elders who are here and all other members of our community. This journey towards treaty is not one that anybody can do on their own, and it takes all those different contributions from all those parts of our community, and it's something that we're all working on together. And the stronger we are coming together and have that same unified vision, the stronger these treaty outcomes are going to be. So I just want to thank everybody who is here in this room and those who support us outside this room for being here and being part of this journey. Thank you all. As I said before, huge congratulations to the Treaty Authority. You actually did it. I won't say I always had 100% belief we'd get here to this day by this timeline, but you did it. But this is just a very small part of the enormous job that you have as the Treaty Authority. And it is so critical that we have this Treaty Authority, that we have this independence. We have an independent body to oversee these negotiations. Because the Treaty Authority, they're not part of the Assembly, they're not part of a traditional owner treaty, they're not part of the state, they are an independent group of First Peoples who are overseeing this process. And it's such a critical part of this process to have the Treaty Authority, and I have every confidence that you'll be able to undertake this role in the appropriate way, so thank you. But this is not just a big day for the Treaty Authority. This is a big day for the First Peoples Assembly of Victoria. This is a big day for the First Peoples community of Victoria, for traditional owners in Victoria, for traditional owner organisations, for mob from outside of Victoria, for stolen generation members, for our Aboriginal community controlled organisations. This is a big day for First Peoples. This is a big day for the state. This is a big day for all Victorians. This might sound familiar, but literally this morning, I heard it on the radio. I saw it on the television. But treaty is not just words from a song anymore. Treaty is not just some idea, some distant thing in the future we're working towards. Treaty's here right now. And today marks a very important occasion, as well as the Treaty Authority officially launching. We are submitting our nomination, our notification for being part of the treaty process, and there'll be this period of comment from community. And we really encourage our community to come out and share your ideas, your thoughts about what the Assembly's doing, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, how we could improve. We want to hear from our community, because that's the only way we know to get better, is by listening to our community and understanding their needs and making sure we're delivering on those. So really encourage people to participate in that. We'd love to see some really positive comments. We want to see those things we can improve as well. That's really, really going to be important to strengthen us, so that after that 2-month period, we know that we are united as we progress towards treaty. Because we will get the outcomes we're after when we are united. That will give us the greatest strength. We often talk about that island vision that we have for treaty, and mine is still burning clear in my mind. From my perspective, we are heading towards a future where First Peoples communities are thriving and where our cultures are at the heart of our daily lives. That's where I'm headed. That's hopefully where we're all headed, and treaty is how we're going to get there. Right now, last round of applause. What I'd like to do now is I'm going to invite Ngara Murray to come up, my fellow co-chair, to say a few words, and then we're going to hear the declaration that the Assembly has put forward alongside support from our Order's Voice. And I'd like to encourage all of our members to come up to the front of the stage here as well. So come down, all the members of the Assembly, and I invite Ngara up. Thank you. We'll just fill in the front there, that's it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ngara Murray, and I'm a proud Wamba Wamba, Yorta Yorta, Jar Jar Warung and Dudara woman, and co-chair of the First Peoples Assembly, along with Reuben. I offer my respect to the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung peoples, and I thank Uncle Andrew for his warm welcome. And I extend that respect to all First Peoples here today, especially our elders that's in attendance, Auntie Zita and Uncle Eddie and Auntie Jill. I think there's a few here. Acknowledge also the Spears that danced for us this morning, and Uncle Kutcha. He has such a powerful role in our community as our songman, and we always love to hear him sing. Our journey towards equality and justice is deeply rooted in a long history of Aboriginal activism in Victoria. And over generations, our people have collectively marched and protested for our rights, and today we continue that fight. It's an honour for me, on behalf of the First Peoples Assembly of Victoria, to now read our declaration on behalf of all of our members. So on behalf of the Assembly, this is our declaration. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Our sovereignty was never ceded. We are still here, and here we will remain, strong, resilient, fearless, together. Our connection to country, our pride in our cultures and collective identities and the law of these lands have survived and will thrive once again. We recognise that this moment is because of the courage, the strength and struggle of our elders, ancestors and those who have come before us. Their legacy drives our fight for treaty. As the elected members of the First Peoples Assembly of Victoria, chosen by our communities to represent them on the shared journey to treaty in Victoria, we now take our next collective step forward. We declare the First Peoples Assembly of Victoria ready to enter into statewide treaty negotiations. We affirm our right and ability to serve as the First Peoples representative body, to negotiate statewide treaty as outlined in the treaty negotiation framework and relevant legislation. For us, self-determination is not just a destination, it is a way of life. It embodies how we operate and all that we do now and into the future. The First Peoples Assembly of Victoria is a manifestation of our sovereignty as we exercise our inherent rights, maintain our continuing connection to country and uphold our culture, our law and our laws. When it comes to our matters, our communities are the experts. That is why we need the freedom and power to make the decisions about our lives on our own terms, and we are ready to negotiate treaty. And we now invite the members of the Treaty Authority to accept our declaration. Thank you.
Natri Batri Niktumakta Yakan Rukut, Alice Pepper. I'm proud to and honoured to be able to do our cultural exchange today. It's a part of our history, it's a part of our elder and ancestors' legacy, and it is a living culture. It's what we are. It identifies us and our connection to land, and I think I wasn't aware of what people were going to say today, but this piece really reflects everything and every word that has been said here today. So I just want to explain about the piece. It's on a kangaroo skin. It is a cultural practice that's been passed down by our ancestors for over 65,000 years on this land. We have our First Peoples Assembly logo up the top, which I want to acknowledge Tom Day, who was the original designer of that for the First Peoples Assembly. Down the bottom on the tail, we have our shared journey to treaty. So our journey lines for everybody in Victoria. And we're on that shared journey because our sovereignty has never ceded. On either side of the treaty for Victoria, we have the two parties coming together to negotiate a treaty. So it'll be us as First Peoples and the State of Victoria government. On the side here, we have significant footprints, our footprints that are honouring the legacy of our ancestors and our elders that have fought the fort. We recognise their resilience, their strength, their courage, their wisdom, their knowledge. In the middle is the current people that are doing the work in Victoria towards treaty. So that's all of us and all of our mobs across Victoria. And above that, into the future, they are our young people. Our young people will be the ones that will benefit from the work that we do towards treaty. And also around the edges you'll see the shields, and there's 45 of them. So 44 representing the clans of Victoria that will eventually negotiate their treaties. And then one more for the Assembly, which is there to negotiate the state. So I'm very honoured, as I said, to do this work, and I acknowledge everybody that's part of the journey. So thank you.
Yakai. Thanks to the Assembly for that exchange. We also have a gift to recognise the significance of today. It's a shield done up with the symbols that I explained before in our logo, done up by Mick Harding, and just wanted to present that also back to the Assembly. So come on up. You know.
Between us then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not sure what's next on the run-in sheet.
Kylie, yeah.
Come on up, Kylie.
I'm sure you could do this. Wow, we were here for this momentous occasion, and just respect to all. And I don't know how you're going to do it, Christine, but I'd now like to welcome you, Parliamentary Secretary for First Peoples, to finish this. Thank you.
What a hard act to follow, but anyway. I want to begin by acknowledging the Aboriginal owners of the lands in which we gather today, the Wurundjeri people, and pay my respects to ancestors, elders and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. And can I thank them for their care of our beautiful land and waterways. Can I also acknowledge and thank Uncle Andrew for that beautiful welcome to country, and I'm not precious about you forgetting my name, so that's all cool. And of course to Uncle Culture and Jay for that beautiful performance. Thank you so much for that. To the amazing dancers, and it's great to see those little people involved and that sharing of culture. It's fantastic. So can I also acknowledge Jada Clark, Chair Treaty Authority, Thelma Austin, the member Treaty Authority, Diane White, member of the Treaty Authority, Reuben Berg, co-chair of First Peoples Assembly of Victoria, Nagara Murray, co-chair First Peoples Assembly of Victoria, Professor Annie Eleanor Burke, AM, Commissioner and Chairperson of Uruk Justice Commission, Travis Lovett, Commissioner of the Uruk Justice Commission, Adjunct Professor Sue Ann Hunter, Commissioner of the Uruk Justice Commission, Distinguished Professor Maggie Walter, Commissioner of the Uruk Justice Commission, the Honourable Anthony North, KC, Commissioner for the Uruk Justice Commission, Senator Lydia Thorpe, Independent Senator for Victoria, Auntie Jill Gallagher, the Honourable Gavin Jennings and the Honourable Richard Wynne, Damien Bell, First Peoples Assembly CEO, Sheena Watt from the Northern Metropolitan Region, and other parliamentary colleagues and all VIPs and everyone else here today. I could have gone on and on and on, but I thought I'll just continue on now with the speech. And of course, Natalie Hutchins, the Minister for First Peoples and Treaty, unfortunately couldn't be here today, although it's fortunate for me because I get to be here today. So thank you all for having me. I do want to acknowledge and thank the Treaty Authority members for the invitation to be part of this ceremony event, marking the historic launch of the Treaty Authority and with the formal commencement of treaty processes in Victoria. I know that as the Treaty Authority's inaugural members, you have worked incredibly hard to establish this new process for all Victorians. I commend your leadership and wish you all the very best as you guide us into this next phase of the Victoria's nation-leading journey to treaty. Victoria's commitment to treaty is not a new one. Since the passing of Australia's first ever treaty legislation in 2018, the Treaty Act, Victoria has adopted a steady, long-term approach to treaty, spanning 8 years and seeing the establishment of the nation-built leading institutions such as the Treaty Authority. The Treaty Authority is a historically significant institution, a First Peoples-led independent body that will oversee treaty making in Victoria, facilitating negotiations and upholding obligations between First Peoples and the state. Led by members, the Treaty Authority is grounded in the Aboriginal law and cultural authority, expertise that will guide treaty making and advance equal footing between First Peoples and the state as we move towards a treaty era characterised by self-determination and empowerment, fairness and equality, partnership and good faith, mutual benefit and sustainability, and transparency and accountability. These are the guiding principles for parties to the treaty process, but also describe the type of ongoing relationship between the state and First Peoples that we aim to realise through treaty. Treaty is our opportunity to come to grips with the history we share. We can't build a better future without knowing the truth about our past. The establishment of the Yoorrook Justice Commission is a leading national model for truth-telling, hearing and responding to the often uncomfortable and painful truth of our history. I want to commend all who have participated in the Commission's hearings, especially First Peoples across Victoria, who have generously shared their stories in this groundbreaking process. The findings from which we will inform the treaty negotiation process. Victoria's treaty process is about giving the First Peoples of Victoria a say over what matters that affect them. We know that self-determination is key to closing the gap and improving health, education, jobs and economic development outcomes. We all have a stake in treaty. We value the 65,000 years of living First Peoples culture, the strong connection to country and to each other. The state of Victoria is enthusiastic about coming to the negotiating table with First Peoples because we know that when First Peoples thrive, all of Victoria thrives. We are leading the nation on this journey. The outcome will be something we can all be proud of. It is through treaty that a pathway to a better future for First Peoples and non-Aboriginal Victorians can be truly realised. Today is a day of great significance for all Victorians. Today, and in knowing I was preparing for this, I reflected on this 8 years of journey to treaty, where it started and where it is, where we are today. As a member of the Allen government, I'm immensely proud to be part of the Victorian government's commitment to First Peoples. To all of you here today and those First Peoples to come, thank you.